Let me begin with something most of us never really stop to ask ourselves. What if your body isn't failing you? What if it's trying to speak to you? What if those headaches that you keep getting, the stomach issues you've brushed off, that fatigue that never seems to go away, even after a full night's sleep, what if none of these things are random? What if they're not just aging or just hormones or just a stressful week? What if they're signals that your body has been sending you for years, hoping you would finally pause long enough to listen? I want you to stay with me, because once you understand what I'm about to share, you will never see your body or your stress in the same way again. You see, most of us grow up believing that stress is just an emotion. It's some kind of mental state we're supposed to push through, we're supposed to ignore, we're supposed to slap a smile on top of it, right? But stress isn't in your head. Stress is a full-bodied biological event. I really need you to understand that, because what it does is it changes everything inside you. It changes your immune system, it changes your digestion, changes your hormones, changes your sleep, changes the way that your organs function, the way that your genes even express themselves. So what we have to understand is that stress leaves fingerprints all over your entire physiology. And the truth is, your body is an amazing machine, okay? We know this, and it's brilliantly designed to handle stress. But it's brilliantly designed to handle stress in short bursts, okay? Those moments where your brain thinks you're in danger. And then it releases adrenaline, and then it tightens up, and then it sharpens your attention. All of that is completely natural, and of course, at times it's even helpful. But I think that we're getting clear that the stress that we're facing today is nothing like the stress that your nervous system evolved for. We were supposed to have minutes of activation, okay? But instead, we're experiencing hours, days, months, sometimes years of activation. A divorce, a toxic boss, a sick parent that you're caring for. You know, the weight of responsibilities that don't ever seem to let up. And this internal pressure that you've carried for decades, this quiet heartbreak maybe of feeling alone in your life, all of these things are creating stress in your body. So what you need to understand is that when stress is continuous like this, your body doesn't have the chance to reset back to its baseline. So what it does is it stays consistently switched on. And this is where things start to break down. Not because your body's weak, but because no system can stay in survival mode forever. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. So science now shows that your body is storing emotional experiences. So it remembers the moment that you swallowed your words, or it remembers those times, maybe even in your childhood, where you weren't safe enough to be able to express what you felt. Or maybe the years that you held everything together because falling apart wasn't an option. Your body remembers this. So it's remembering every tightening, every moment that you braced, every time you were silent that cost you something. And if you've been carrying these things for a long time, your body eventually starts to tell you pretty quietly. And if you don't hear that, it has no option but to start to speak louder. I want to tell you a story about what I mean. I once worked with a client and she had terrible stomach pains, such bad stomach pains for years. And she tried everything. She went to specialists and they did a whole bunch of tests, and she was given medication and she was given special diets, and she took supplements, she was eliminating foods, she was adding foods. She literally did everything right, but nothing was helping. And the more she tried to fix it physically, she was feeling worse emotionally. So when she came to me, we sat down together and we didn't talk about diets or probiotics or medication schedules. We talked about her life. We talked about the way that she grew up, trying to keep everyone happy, and how she took responsibility for problems that were not actually hers. And we talked about how good she had become at staying quiet. She was so good at it that she didn't even recognize that she was doing it. So her body actually wasn't malfunctioning. What it was doing was it was expressing years of truth inside herself that she had swallowed. And her body was saying, I can't keep holding this. And when she finally began to set some small boundaries, she started to speak gently but honestly. She started to let herself rest and not feel guilty about it. Her symptoms started to change. Not overnight, not miraculously, but slowly and steadily in the exact way the body heals when it finally feels safe. This isn't imagination. This isn't mind over matter. This is actually neuroscience. So chronic stress literally reshapes the brain. So interestingly, meditation does the same thing. Meditation reshapes the brain in a positive way. Chronic stress reshapes the brain in a negative way. So it makes the amygdala, the part of the brain that's responsible for fear and for threat, makes it more reactive. So it shrinks the hippocampus. So the hippocampus is the part of your brain that's responsible for memory and for emotional regulation. And what it does is it disrupts the balance of bacteria in your gut, as we're seeing more and more, getting more and more understanding at the moment about this. And this affects everything from inflammation to immunity to your mood. So it even alters how your genes express themselves. So we used to think that emotions were these abstract things floating around in your mind. But what science is now showing us is that they're biological events with real consequences in our body. And that means something really hopeful. So if stress can change the body, then peace and calm can also change it too. So your nervous system isn't fixed, it's trainable. And every moment that you slow your breathing, every time that you soften your shoulders instead of tensing them, every time you speak a truth that you've avoided, every time you allow yourself to rest even when your mind says that you shouldn't, you are retraining your nervous system. You're teaching your body safety. You're giving yourself back to yourself. So when the symptoms appear, like tension in your body, maybe tension in your chest, maybe a knot in your stomach, or exhaustion that comes out of absolutely nowhere, your body isn't betraying you. Your body is communicating with you. It's asking you something. It's saying to you, are you listening? Are you overwhelmed? Are you stretching yourself too thin? Are you ignoring your own needs? Are you pretending everything's fine when it's not? Or are you carrying too much alone? So illness doesn't appear out of nowhere. It kind of can show up as a last resort when we've ignored what our emotional life has been trying to communicate. Not saying that all illness is caused by emotional states, but there's a lot that is. And once you learn how to listen, everything begins to shift. So you start noticing the moment stress builds instead of waiting until your body collapses. You begin to understand yourself in a deeper, truer way. You stop living in reaction and you start living with intention. So imagine the next time you feel your shoulders tighten or your breath becomes shallow instead of pushing through. Just pause, just for a moment, and feel what's happening. You can name it quietly to yourself. My chest feels tight, or there's heaviness here, or I feel overwhelmed. And naming it helps your brain to process it. Then take a slow breath out, like I said, slightly longer than the breath in, and your body hears you. It feels the signal of safety. It begins returning to balance. So this tiny moment, this simple act of listening and responding is how healing begins. Not in gigantic, dramatic changes, but in the small moments or of presence that you repeat again and again over time. So when you understand the connection between stress and illness, you stop seeing your body as the enemy. You start seeing it as the most loyal companion you've ever had. A companion that's been protecting you, holding you together, doing its best to keep you safe, even when it was exhausted. And when you learn to treat your body as a partner rather than a problem, something beautiful happens. You build a life that your body doesn't have to recover from. You deserve that, and your body is ready for it. I hope this has been helpful. I would love to teach you more ways to optimize your happiness, to get a better life for yourself, to reduce your stress, anxiety, and depression. Please join me and let's do this together. Like and subscribe. As always, be kind, take care, go gently in the world.